Hello and welcome to Sales Tips by Fortreal Real Estate Academy, Nigeria's #1 real estate academy. In this particular video, we're going to be looking at how I almost lost 7 million naira commission. I'm sure you definitely want to hear that. I said how I almost lost because it happened that I was able to get the job done and still got it right. So that's why I want to share this with you, an important lessons that you definitely can learn from this. My name is Raymond Ijoma and I am the lead facilitator at the Fortreal Real Estate Academy. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and of course drop a comment for us. You get free value right here on this channel and you don't want to miss out on our next episode or the previous ones that I most likely would guess that you have not seen. So do check the channel and get enough value as you can. And if you're interested in our paid masterclass, the number to reach out to is right on your screen. So how did this happen? So for like about 2 months or thereabout, I was talking to these clients who were residents abroad, and most of our clients are not within Nigeria. So typical of my kind of transactions, we're having a conversation, a husband and a wife, and scheduled for an inspection here in Nigeria. And the husband wanted to come around, and the summary of it, in fact, for first time transaction, they came with a gift of a drone and another car battery charger, and that was really impressive. I really appreciated that. Those are the kind of I am one realtor or broker rather that I get a lot of gifts. I get a lot of gifts from my clients. It's usually a lot. Gifts in cash, in kind. A couple of days back, a client of mine in Canada asked for my shoe size, right? And there's a reason for that. In fact, after transactions happen, I naturally you client to request for my account number to appreciate me. And I remember one time that I traveled to Enugu to speak at the conference, and just because I traveled to one of my clients' hometown, he said, "Oh, Raymond, send me your account." Oh, you already have my account number because you sent me money for when my wife put to bed, right? So he already had my account number. So he just sent me the receipt that he sent me money to enjoy myself because I went to his town. So that's kind of, those are the kind of clients that I have. So this particular one came with a gift. And like I mentioned, these transactions were tied together. If one doesn't close, that's the end of the rest. So we did inspections and payment was made for the first two, right? Same estate. And the trick involved, naturally, by our standard as at today, we don't sell for individuals. If you are an individual and you want us to sell for you, the procedures are super tedious because we understand a lot of things. Haven't been in the business for a while. It's natural for us to have certain policies and certain standards. So we don't sell for individuals. We only do business partnerships with brokerage firms or developers as it were. So, but this particular transaction was by a developer, but then it was a third party sale. In other words, the client the client bought from the developers, and the client wanted the property to be sold by the developer. So the client had given authority to the developer to sell. And for that particular one, was a 17 million naira product for the land itself, only the land, which is one of the products that they say was happening. And eventually, it happened that money was paid somewhere around 9 a.m. in the morning, and towards the afternoon, towards about 4 5 p.m., um, I got a call or a message rather that the client said he was no longer selling. That what he wanted now was 20 million. He no longer wanted 70 million. I was angry. I was furious. I know the implication of this. This is not going to be good. Beyond the fact that I know that these clients were straightforward people, it is always a real estate thing. Real estate transactions, you any little thing can bring an end to that transaction, not just the transaction, but also the relationship, right? Because if there's a cast of doubt on you for a particular transaction, it rubs off on your entirety, it rubs off on your brand, and that might be the end of that relationship. So eventually it happened. I put a call across, and then I was like, no, this cannot happen. This man had given you people an authority to sell at this price. And then I heard that, oh, he went to the site and discovered that the place is supposed to be selling for more than that. I'm like, that is not our business. That is not the business of my client. He had made his payments, and he can't be going back to him right now is unprofessional. It would be unprofessional to tell him to pay an additional 3 million naira. So we started having a back and forth on it. But I needed to update the clients, and I updated them. He was supposed to travel back, and then eventually I just updated them while I told him that we're still working on it. So immediately I told him, even though I told him I was still working on the transaction or working on fixing the situation, he requested for a refund. Now, to give him the benefit of doubt, or to make him know that we're not trying to tie your money at the same time, ask you for more, I initiated I authorized, or he authorized the refund, and then I followed up on it, and then that was being processed. And I was also making sure that if he was going to get a refund, if it was going to be a matter of a refund, that refund must happen on the Monday, because this everything happened between Friday and the weekend. Yeah, so eventually, I had to put the call across to the owner of the company, and eventually I was ready to. I made an offer, sacrifice a part of my commission, and then we basically had compromises, sacrifice money, sacrifice commission, sacrifice profit, and all of that, just to make sure that the client is happy, because I could not get hold of the owner of the company over the weekend because of his busy schedule as well. So eventually we resolved the matter, but there was a call that happened. And these are the lessons that I need you to really learn as a new realtor or experienced realtor, whoever you are. So while we're having a call, of course, I reached out to, I haven't had a compromise or a conversation that led to a compromise with the owner of the company. I reached out to the client, the client asked for a call between all of us that were involved in the transaction. And he asked the man the question: did Raymond know that the client had changed his mind when I was making payment? He wanted to know if I knew about the price increase or the change of mind and still allow them to make the payment as a way of attracting or collecting additional 3 million naira from them. That was the impression they had. This was, I had between, on my own side, to be fair on me, I had no blame in the entire transaction. But because I was involved, because it's real estate, everything would definitely rub off on me. It will also rub off on the developer who was selling the product, and the individual who actually is the reason, the cause of all of this, would go home smiling and would not suffer any consequences, which is what we needed to deal with, right? So eventually, to cut the long story short, these are the lessons you should learn. Eventually, I was able to earn back the trust, and then immediately that was sorted. The client, I remember I told you that this was a repeat transaction. I mean, it was tied to a number of transactions. Immediately that this was being resolved, he said, "Okay, Raymond, let's do that one." I went for inspection. At the end of the day, everything happened. All the payments were made. I literally sacrificed my next day. In fact, I literally sacrificed the rest of the transaction to make up for what had happened in what the third party, the individual, had caused, which was naturally not my fault. I was not aware. But here is the lesson. Lesson number one: um, keep very good relationships. Try as much as you can to, as somebody who was in the business, don't. That is why any transaction that I don't have direct access, I don't do it as a realtor, as a broker. I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved in any transaction that I don't have direct access, that I cannot be in charge of the process of how that transaction plays out. Because sometimes you can get a good lead, but in between dealing with the process of that transaction, you mess it up. And that transaction or that client would not take it seriously. Assuming that, of course, that's why one major lesson I learned from this transaction is the fact that you can confidently or comfortably make a refund. In other words, the client doesn't lose money at the end of the day. But one thing that will happen is that you will lose that client. That is what would have happened. The refund could have happened, and of course, there's no harm on the client, but that would have been the very end of that transaction. As a matter of fact, eventually at the end of the day, this client sent me 400,000 naira as a tip, as a tip, just as a way of appreciating what I did eventually. Because of course they discovered a lot of things came back to normal. and then they discovered, and then they told me that, oh, I am their guy now in Nigeria for real estate transactions and all of that. And so the summary of it all is I could have lost not just the about 7 million naira commission. I could have also lost on the relationship and or whatever referral that could have come from that relationship and everything in between. Right. So as a realtor, be close to the players. Try as much as you can to be close to the players. If you can't be close to the players, be close to the process, be familiar with the process, be involved in the process. Don't just be that realtor that has 10 other realtors that have nothing involved in the transaction, or you are the third person. There's another person. There's another person. The change should not be too long. You should be familiar. You should be in part of, be a major part of whatever is happening in terms of the transactions. And most importantly, communication is key. Communication is key. Another part, I mean, a lot of lessons in this particular story. Trust. Trust is key. You don't want to joke with trust. You don't want to joke with emotional intelligence. You don't want to joke with one of the major lessons that came out, which is under the base of emotional intelligence, is being able to step away from your emotion, how angry you are, how you are feeling, to being able so that you can think clearly, logically, and be able to find a solution based on wisdom. So trust, emotional intelligence, negotiation skills, ability to make sacrifice and make compromise. You mustn't earn all of the commission. I was ready to let go of my commission, but eventually that didn't happen. And I benefited based on the fact that, in fact, the fact that I was willing to let go of my commission made me even earn more and benefit more. So you mustn't win in all the transactions. Sometimes you may not win in the present, but you win ultimately. So as a realtor, stop fighting about your commission. I understand that one of the reasons why a lot of persons are really bothered or really want to fight or die with the commission is because you have only a one-time sale, or the sale can only happen one time, and then before it happens again, maybe it's another 2 months, another 3 months. But with the lessons that we share here, or if you decide to join our paid masterclass, you can be guaranteed. If you put in the work, of course, you can be guaranteed of making sales consistently, and you will not want to die on top of one transaction or top of one commission, right? So ability to let go, sacrifice, or make certain compromise, negotiation, mediation. What else am I missing? I think basically those are the lessons that really needed to be learned on that. So yes, I eventually was not, or I didn't lose it eventually, and these are the things that helped. And I know if you had listened to this carefully, you would definitely learn a lot of things, or had learned a lot of things that will help you in your own sales, assuming you find yourself in any situation like this. So, to be frank with you, there are some transactions you should not get into. There are some products you should not put in the market simply because you don't have enough information, or simply because you're not in part of the process. Because it's one thing to get the lead, it's another to be able to do the job of closing successfully. So, as a realtor, a lot of lessons that you can pick from this story. If there's anyone that I missed, do let me know in the comment section. My name is Raymond Legerman. I am the lead facilitator of the Fortreal Real Estate Academy. Do subscribe to this channel, like this video, drop a comment, and stay in touch with us. We're happy to receive your questions, and then if you're interested in enrolling for the paid masterclass, the number to reach out to is right on your screen. See you on the next episode. Bye bye.